Hey everyone, John Mark Dugan here, Bad Wolf. Now, recently 60 Minutes reached out to interview me about some of my websites, about the use of AI to write the news, and about so-called fake news narratives that they accuse me of spreading on behalf of the Russian government. This is absolutely absurd. But what you're about to see is a perfect example of how the mainstream media giants try to silence anyone they interview. They bombard you with disclaimers, copyright traps, and internal use only clauses, all designed to keep full control over what you, the public, sees, how it's edited, and how it's spun. This is how they protect their dishonest ambush journalism. Now, on the surface, they'll tell you it's to protect their brand or to preserve their intellectual property. But if you look closer, you'll see something far more suspect. These tactics are the perfect excuse to silence any pushback if you don't have your own copy of the raw footage, and then you're powerless to fight back when they cherry-pick quotes, strip content, or paint you in a distorted light, as you will see in the second part of this video. As you listen, pay attention to the words that they use: long-standing policy, internal purposes only. These aren't just harmless legal phrases. They are the building blocks of a system that lets them engineer whatever narrative suits them and their handlers. And we already know that the Democratic Party has a lot of control over people like CBS. And in a country that supposedly values transparency, and a company that supposedly values transparency, this should make you wonder, who really benefits from keeping so many conversations hidden? To top it off, currently CBS 60 Minutes is being sued for billions of dollars for deceptive edits to mislead their viewers. We saw this with the Harris videos. What came out was absolutely shocking. But they read me the so-called disclaimer, which, in my view, was designed just to justify any spin they wanted to put on my words. You might have your own opinion, so let me know. Then, when I disagreed and argued that I should have a right to protect myself, even when they offered, and I agreed in good faith, to let them post the entire interview themselves if I didn't like their editing. Once they did that, then they made every excuse in the book about why simply it can't be done. This is exactly why nobody trusts the mainstream media anymore, specifically places like 60 Minutes. Again, this is going to be a two-part video, with the second part being the shocking result of Cecilia Vega's ambush journalism laid bare for all to see, so you can see every moment as they try to steer the narrative into a dishonest direction. And you can decide for yourself how fair and balanced they really are. You know, the sad thing about this is I agreed to this interview hoping that they would be good journalists, that they wouldn't use this gotcha style, ambush style questioning. In fact, I even played some of this for a very famous journalist friend of mine from the States. He was like, dude, this isn't even journalism. This is prosecutorial questioning. So in the second part of the video, you're going to be able to see this for yourself. But for now, let's just stick to their legal disclaimer and you can see exactly what it's all about. So let's get to it.
We're not live. If you need to stop, start, say something again, twice, ask me to repeat it, feel free. Our interviews tend to go pretty long. We'll go at least 90 minutes, maybe a little bit more. So if you need to pause and, get up and use the restroom, grab some water, all that is totally fair game. Whatever you need to do to be comfortable. John, you know that I'm assuming the teams have given you this warning because I understand you want to record for your own purposes, the interview. And so I've got to read you kind of our legal, it's going to be like what you hear on car commercials on TV, a lot of like talk on
you're just
going
to say yes. Say it. You don't have to.
Yeah. CBS News is allowing John Mark Dugan to record the following interview for his internal purposes only, with the following understanding. The entity of this interview is the full legal property of CBS News and may not be published, broadcast, streamed, or in any other way distributed in any medium or format, in whole or in part, by anyone or any other entity other than CBS News and those expressly authorized by CBS News. Do you agree?
Actually, no. This was not my understanding, because if you selectively edit my interview and make me sound like I'm saying something that I do not say, then I specifically said that I have the right to put on my own version in full.
Well, we do edit. That is standard practice.
I understand that.
We're not airing a full 90-minute interview.
Well, I know, I get it, but I don't want you guys pulling like a reverse Kamala Harris job on me.
Touche. I'm going to let Andy Court figure out what you want to say here. This was written by the lawyers, not me, as you know.
No, I get it, but, you know, I know how the news likes to spin things, and, you know, frankly, that's why I'm here, is because I don't trust the news media.
Hey, John, can you hear me okay?
Yep, I hear you.
I think the way I understood what she read is, we don't want you broadcasting like our program, but if you want to complain because you have a transcript and you recorded it, you can obviously cite examples and stuff. I mean, you have a transcript of the whole interview.
Look, I get that, but if you guys take a portion of what I say and make it sound like something that I didn't say, great point example, when Donald Trump was talking about the people in Charlottesville, then I'm sorry, but I can't agree with that.
So you're saying so I understand what you're saying, John. You want the right to use our footage to broadcast in whatever capacity you choose, wherever you want to show it.
I don't intend
like
to.
A bite to bites. I know, but just to say worst case scenario, you don't like the way something is edited. You're saying you want to take your footage that you're collecting on your end and broadcast that soundbite to play against what we've played.
That's correct.
So you want to broadcast this in the worst case scenario. That's
in the worst case scenario, yes. I want to compare what you guys edited with what I actually said.
I understand what you're saying. I just don't. I'll consult with Andy, and we may have to call the lawyers. I don't think that that's allowed for us.
I don't think anyone has any trouble with you calling us out on the edit if you think it wasn't fair, and you'll have a full transcript and full audio. That's fine. I don't think anyone wants. People don't get to kind of broadcast something we're filming.
Look, I have no intention of doing it unless you guys spin the interview in a way that is dishonest.
But you're recording just audio, or you're recording video also?
Well, I'm doing both.
Both, got it.
Right. Well, I mean,
but
I think what you're supposed to do. Look, I mean, this is the way it's always worked. You record the audio, you have a full transcript. You want to make a program where you make a big deal out of it because you're upset with the way we cut something. That's your prerogative. But the footage, like the actual
video,
the video is kind of ours. We spent a lot of time making it, and that part is ours. The words are yours. The audio, I don't think anyone's going to make. I don't know what the situation is with the audio, but certainly you'll have a full transcript. You want to get on your channel and
people don't watch full transcripts.
See, the problem is we can't let people broadcast our stuff.
I have no intention of doing it unless it's edited in a dishonest way. And I'm sorry, but I explained this to you in our very first conversation. I don't have a lot of trust. And, look, to be honest, 60 Minutes is being sued by Donald Trump. And you guys are most likely going to be settle it out of court. Why? Because the Kamala Harris interview was selectively interviewed to make her look better. Well, I know the news media can selectively edit things to make it sound worse as well. So, I don't want to put myself in that position. And if we can't agree on that, then I guess we just don't have an interview.
Yeah, I don't think they'll let us do that. I guess I don't think that's going to be acceptable. I mean, I can make a phone call, but I mean, we gotta. It's fine for people to call us out or have a record of what was said, and if they want to dispute it afterwards, that's fine.
You're saying your intention would be to air it whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're airing our property is what our lawyers would say.
Well, look, if they don't look, you guys want the interview with me. And
we do very much.
And this is my only condition, because I have plenty of reason not to trust the mainstream media, and not to trust the media, especially in the United States.
I think what I would say to that is, I totally understand what you're saying. It's just you've gotten to know our team and how above board these guys are. And
No,
I'd like to
I
think
don't. I have no idea.
some of the best journalists in the country here, who are not out to get anybody other than to tell your story. We do obviously want to hear your story. We put a lot of time and
this.
mental bandwidth into this interview today. But this is our one condition. Yeah, you can't air the whole content. You can't air our content. You could show the transcript, or could you air audio?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I know you can. I know you'll have a full transcript. You'll have a full audio broadcast. You'll be free to judge whether you think the edits were fair, and you can certainly, I mean, you seem to be very good at broadcasting stuff and making programs of your own. But I don't think you can use the parts. Obviously, you could fair use the parts of the interview that we broadcast. And then you could say,
well, that's the problem. And then you selectively edit it.
Then you could show up the transcript and you could say, here's what I actually said. Here's how they did me dirty. I mean, that would be your right. I mean, I just don't think you could actually take the whole interview and put it out there. I don't think that would be.
You know what? No, this isn't going to work. Sorry.
Let me call. I'll call our lawyers to make sure, but I just can't imagine they'd want you. I mean, the only other possibility. Let me call them and find out. We should. I should make the call to New York and find out what it means, because I mean, it's pretty. I just don't think. I kind of don't think it's. I even know what it means, to be honest. I've never really thought about it. We're allowing you to record the following interview for this internal purposes only. The entity of this interview is the full legal property of CBS. So obviously, we have to say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And may not be published, broadcast, or streamed in any way.
Well, and that's the clincher.
Whole or part by anyone other than, okay. I have no problem, like I said, we have no problem with you having a full transcript of this thing, having a record of what was said. And if you feel we haven't been fair, you have every right to complain. The problem is, as a business, this is a company that's, we've been doing this for 50 years. Like, if we just let everyone record what we did, and then if they didn't like the way the program came out,
you've done it for 50 years. And 50 years ago, 30 years ago, you guys had a lot of trust. Now, I'm sorry, but you don't. And there's a reason for that.
Well, but part of the, John, you got to understand, part of the reason for that. I mean, there's been controversies throughout the years about interviews, but and everyone's always been allowed to have a transcript of what was said. But I mean, can you imagine? I mean, think about it.
Can I imagine that if somebody actually held the news media accountable to the stuff that they spin? Yeah, I could imagine. That would be great.
No, anyone being able to rebroadcast anything, anywhere, how would you possibly run a television network if anyone could rebroadcast anything that you filmed at any time? I mean, it wouldn't belong to you anymore. There'd be no reason to watch your.
Well, see, the thing is, people do this all the time, and they do it. They air little clips and they give their commentary on it. Blah blah blah, right? So it's not like people don't re-air your stuff, anyways.
Well, but they
air what has aired.
They air what has aired.
They aired what has aired, right? And they should be allowed to air if you guys edit something into misleading content.
Where would you air this, just out of curiosity?
I don't know, probably my Telegram channel.
Telegram channel. How many followers do you have?
I don't know. Just 4,000.
4,000.
Yeah. But that's really irrelevant.
Just curious.
There's only one.
I had a YouTube channel, but they deleted it for some little ladies saying
it's on my list of things to ask you about.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is we have stories that air that contain people, for example, are confidential sources or things like that. We have all sorts of things we air. We've always protected our outtakes in part so we can do investigative stories, in part so that we can be careful about not, if someone's talking to us anonymously or under certain conditions, we can perhaps protect their identity and things. If someone could just, get all our material from the vault, there might be ways in which sources could be compromised. All sorts of things.
It's you and me talking. So no, there's no source to compromise.
No, but
the only thing that could possibly do harm to CBS is for some edit to be shown to be clearly dishonest. That's the only harm that I see that could come of my proposal.
Yeah, we don't play in an arena of dishonesty. I think that it sounds like going to be a subjective definition between the two of us.
Well,
John, part of it, here's the point. It's not just about this one interview. It's more about what policies, think there are millions of interviews we do a year. But yes, this is a unique situation where you're just saying, I want to make sure the edits are correct. But think about other situations where people might suddenly say, well, the things you didn't broadcast, I have a right to them because CBS in this other case let the guy use. I mean, these things set precedents that then get applied to other situations besides ours. That's part of the reason we have these policies, right? Not because in this one situation it's necessarily a problem.
Well, I know you guys want to claim that you guys are not dishonest, but you know what, Andy? You and I had this discussion, and it wasn't a problem. You said that you would read a disclaimer.
I told you the same thing.
No, you said you would read a disclaimer, but it would be fine. And now I'm hearing this. So
it's not because we want to hide our edits. It's because we have to run a business here, don't we? I mean, it seems to me, it's if you spend all this time making an interview, you want to run it when you want to run it, and you want to run it the amount of
well,
time.
as I said, I have no intention of actually doing anything with it unless that I think it's deceptively edited. And if that's not good enough, then
I think the problem is we have to broadcast. In other words, I think the important idea here is for someone we have to broadcast the material. And we have to broadcast it first. We have to have exclusive rights. Now,
go ahead. Go ahead.
But the only thing I'm thinking about is, I don't know how they feel about this.
Look, here's my point of view, okay? I'm in Russia. If I felt like violating those rules, I would just do it anyways because there's not jack shit you guys can do about it, okay? But that's not how I operate. I operate in good faith.
It's the broadcasting of the video that's the problem, not that's the reason this was written, right? They don't want people just taking video and putting it out there themselves. Everything else, they're fine.
Well, if they're on the up and up, then they don't have to worry about it.
No, but it's not. You see, you keep making it sound because it's about honesty and stuff. It's about
it's 100% about honesty, Andy.
God, it's about copyright. It's about come on, don't get
copyright doesn't apply to me. I'm in Russia. There's nothing you can do. What, are you going to sue me here? You can't.
Well, I mean, it's not even. It's
so.
Wait. I mean, look. Obviously, and we can't stop people from doing things, breaking their agreements. We can't. Obviously, we ask people. We depend on people like you.
I don't break agreements. Okay. Right. If I don't agree with it, I don't make the agreement. I don't want to agree to something and then go back on it later because I think, because you guys do something and something comes out the wrong way and I say, you know what? This is what I actually said and this is what they're saying that I said. And I'm sorry, but I should have that right.
But you can do that. You have transcript. That's why most people, they roll on an audio, they have a transcript, and they can still do that. They have the ability to do that.
You lose so much in a transcript. And you know what? Great for instance, Joe Biden, right? They wanted to release the recordings of his interview with her. But everybody was in an uproar about this. They're like, well, you have the transcripts. Now, you know what? No, you can edit transcripts or you can lose so much context and tone in a transcript. Look, this was my one condition of doing the interview with you guys. And again, I have no intention of broadcasting this if I think that my answers are in context to your questions. But if they're deceptively edited, if they're edited in a way to make me look bad, okay, without me making myself look bad, then I think it should be fair game. And if it's not doable, then oh well.
Well, look, there are two questions. One is whether we can go forward with an interview with that understanding that if you feel you're poorly edited, you're going to create your own broadcast. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
The other, I have one other idea, which might, be kind of win-win,
Mm-hmm.
which is, in theory, there's nothing to prevent us from putting the full, if we wanted to, putting the full, interview on the web. And
fine.
if it's on the web, then
that's fine. Then you know what? If I think it was deceptively edited, then I will say, you know what? You guys need to look at the full version, and I'll direct them right to your website.
Yeah. Now, I think that's not a bad solution because we'd be affirmatively doing it, and it would be in the public realm. The issue is, I don't know technically how the people at the web feel about putting a long interview in total on the web. It's not something they've ever done before. And I don't know whether they can or they want to.
Frankly speaking, it should be policy. It should be policy. You know what? When I went to Donbass, I didn't edit any of the interviews. You know what? I posted them in full. Do you want to know why? Because I didn't want anybody to come back saying, you know what? You edited this selectively, and she's just saying something. You edited it for Russian propaganda.
Yeah, look, it's not like people haven't done that, John. The Frontline did a lot of that when they do their hours. They put the full transcript online, full transparency, and like with world leaders and things.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll make you a deal, and you can run this by your attorneys. If I watch the finished version and I think that it was edited dishonestly or deceptively or to make me sound like I'm saying something I didn't say, I will tell you. And I will give you guys the option to put the full version on the web. And if you don't, then I will put my own version on the web.
These are all possibilities. It's just not, it's more, at this point, it's more like, does someone want to do that? It's not like it can't be done. I've seen other people do it.
Well, does somebody want to do it? It takes 10 minutes. It takes 10 minutes,
actually, just in fairness, having worked on this stuff a little bit, to actually put the raw version of an interview, which sounds like the simplest thing in the world, online, you still gotta make sure, obviously you've got to edit out the things like this in the beginning and the end. Someone's gotta set it up on the web.
Well, I can do it for you.
No, I'm sure you could, but we would have to do it, and someone would have to be willing to put it on somewhere, on our website.
Well, you know what?
I just have to ask them. If they're willing and if they're okay with that.
So ask them.
Yeah. And the other issue is more complicated, which is policy. Like, do they want to start once they start? Like, again, in this situation, I have no problem. I don't think it's a big deal either way. But do they want to start doing that? Then everyone asks for it.
Andy, you tell your managers that screw policy. If they want transparency, then they should put the full version of every interview. Then nobody can come back and say, I didn't like what 60 Minutes did. It was selectively edited. Donald Trump wouldn't be able to say that either.
John, the issue the issue there is not so much, in the ideal world, if everything was transparent, great. The problem is there are some stories where you can't do that, John. There's stories where people, for whatever reason, they wanted confidentiality. They want people not to know where they live, and they slip and they say something. Well, that's an example where you wouldn't want everything.
Well, that's different. That's different.
This is just a conversation between two people. I don't make these decisions, and
that's why I said contact your attorneys, contact your boss. But I'm not doing the interview without protecting myself, because frankly, and I think you're probably a good guy. I don't know. I've never sat down and had a beer with you. I've never sat down and had a beer with Miss Vega or your producers. I have no idea the type of people you are. I know the type of people that work in the mainstream media in the United States, and frankly speaking, I don't like them because I think they are very dishonest. And if you can't make this little capitulation for me, then we don't have an interview. So call who you need to call.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to present a bunch of scenarios. I'm going to explain to them your position.
Okay.
But the other thing I want to make sure when I talk to them, you have no intention of broadcasting anything you will agree not to broadcast anything before we do our story, correct?
Absolutely not.
Wait, yes or no? In other words, you would want to put a story out before we do it?
No, I absolutely do not have any intention of broadcasting anything before you air yours, or probably even after, as long as the edits are within the context of what I'm saying.
Okay, so I'm going to tell them your position is, number one, you're not going to, you will agree not to broadcast anything before.
Correct.
You watch the program. If you feel we edited you fairly, no problem.
Correct.
If you feel you didn't edit us fairly, you reserve the right to
ask you to put the full version on the web. I will give you guys that, and I will direct people to your interview. And
okay, you can watch the full interview and you can see how these guys, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can obviously edit out bathroom breaks or anything like that, me taking a sip of water, but
okay.
As long as it shows my full answer, if I think that you took something out of context.
And that would be sufficient for you?
That would be absolutely sufficient for me.
Okay, all right, okay. All right, well, let me find out. It's different from the way we work. And again, it's not, whatever they answer is going to have to be not just for this situation. It's going to have to be for a whole bunch of other things that we do. And they have to be comfortable that they're not setting some precedent here that suddenly means everything we shoot is this way. I don't know that I'd want everything we shoot to be this way, where anyone...
Well, I think people should have the option because, I'm not talking about people that you guys are friendly with, but people who... Look, I know this is going to be an adversarial interview. I know it is. And so for these types of interviews, I think it's perfectly reasonable for people to be able to make that request.
It's always been our policy that people can look at the transcript of their interview and in its totality and
I understand about the transcript, Andy.
We've never said people don't have a right to have a record of what was said and complain if they don't think was edited properly.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the transcript, Andy.
The new part here is, just so you're clear, is being able to have the video. And but if I understand what you're saying. You're saying what you will do is ask us to put the video online.
That's correct.
Which is different from doing it yourself.
That's correct.
Okay.
However, if you guys don't agree, then I reserve the right to put my copy on.
Right. That's important for people to understand too. That's probably the worst part from them.
Well, because you know what? You can say, yeah, we agree to it. And then after it's done, you're like, well, fuck off, John. We're not putting it on. We decided not to. And then what? Then I have to either violate my verbal agreement with you, which again, I'm in Moscow. I don't care about the law.
I understand.
But I don't want to be dishonest with you guys.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, I think we're at the point now where I need to, can you hang on a second?
Go ahead.
I'm just going to, you just don't go anywhere. I'm going to make a call. We'll see what we can work out. Okay?
Okay.
A few moments later.
I'm going to start by saying, just so we have it on the record, that you have not agreed to the disclaimer that we read you about broadcasting our footage. And we will go ahead and I'm going to ask you some questions now, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thanks,
sorry,
John.
I don't mean to be difficult, but...
I appreciate your candor. Thank you.